Welcome to Brackus Hour.
Hello.
Joining us today in the Brackus Hour studios is T-Bone.
I'm T-Bone.
COO and CFO of T-Bone Industries.
Yes, thank you. Enterprise, T-Bone Enterprise.
Enterprises, yes. I apologize. How long have you guys been manufacturing Reasonable Doubt?
Since 2003.
2003. You lead the industry,
yeah,
correct?
We're over. Globally.
Globally, okay, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean,
we're
the Clinton campaign used you in 2016, I believe, right? Kept her out of trouble with the server thing?
Yes, we have the... Or no, that was a different one. We don't have her laptop. But we do have her laptop, actually. There's another one.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, the Reasonable Doubt was all that was necessary to prevent any issues there.
It worked.
Yeah.
She's not in jail.
Excellent. All right, well, shit. Should we get into it?
All right. Did you write... What do you want to talk about?
I didn't write anything down.
But AI...
I feel like AI. Let's just start there.
Fuck. I should have...
Because we started talking about it the other day, and you were like scary shit.
Well, I probably heard it like on something like this.
Oh, right.
You know, right? That's what's kind of scary though too. Say we were to Ian, you and I, we're quitting our jobs, making a podcast. I feel like at this point I'd just copy everything, unknowingly.
Oh, as far as just talking about the same stuff.
Yeah, because we'd be like, "What did you see on these?"
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, the information's kind of ubiquitous. It's out there everywhere now, to a point, if you're looking for it. You know, same thing like we're talking about. But I still feel like there's like some reads on things that aren't quite going to get discussed. I mean, I don't know. I've gone back and forth on the AI thing as far as like how dangerous it really is. I mean, at the end of the day, machines can't replicate themselves yet. At level.
Where's your 3D printer?
Right, but I mean, it could make a thing, but it can't replicate.
But it's going to be more clever than you and thinks a billion times faster.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. I understand how it could be dangerous. I just don't think it is dangerous yet. A part of it is just the fact that it's so dependent on power. Like, there's just not enough juice to reliable run one of these things in a war type situation where the grid is unstable. I think the AI system falls apart. Like, you need massive data centers to run these things right now that need
I don't know
that.
I didn't know that it's using so much.
Oh yeah. I mean,
or didn't think about that
at scale anyway. I mean, you're talking about like 1% to 2% of the global power supply, which is small, but that's still a lot of juice. That's and you're talking. I was watching a video of the same thing. I was just couch locked yesterday, just going down these random rabbit holes, and they're talking about. They weren't talking about AI specifically, but water consumption of these data centers because for cooling.
Yeah.
I mean, you're effectively. It's a power plant. It's just consuming rather than making power. But it's creating heat.
Yep.
The consumption of power generates
it's conducting
heat.
heat from both ways, just like a power plant versus that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, you've got most of these things are air cooled server racks where they make like rooms with climate control systems with a closed loop there with a heat exchanger going to a cooling tower. It's just like a power plant.
Yep.
It's instead of extracting the heat to create power, it's just straight up trying to cool it down.
Yep.
And they're talking about just the water usage of the cooling towers, which I don't know. I mean, I feel like they kind of tried scaring us when we were kids about us running out of water, but water doesn't go anywhere. Really?
Well,
you know what I mean? It's like saying we're going to run out of air. We're not going to run out of air. It might be different slightly, but it's
fresh
still
water,
here.
There is an amount that I'm curious about it. Every time a 2-liter bottle that has a little bit of pop left in it or whatever, there's some fresh water left in that, and it's trapped in plastic.
Yeah.
That adds up.
Yeah, I mean, I think
all the stuff's being taken out, but you're right though. It doesn't go. It's not leaving the earth.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if desalination can be cheap with that, then the water is not an issue.
And that's one of those things where we just have to need it bad enough.
Right.
Like, it's not worth it yet.
And that literally is gold. We're not. That's the wrong way to put it. If we need it that bad, we'll pay for it.
Exactly.
That will become a priority.
Well, and I mean, it'll, just like anything else, if we need it bad enough, we'll throw enough technology at it to where we'll figure something out.
Yep.
And we'll solve the problem. I mean, and honestly, like solar stills, it's not like it's a complex thing.
Oh yeah,
If you
just do that
dug
on
a
a
bunch
large
of canals
scale.
in California and in like Saudi Arabia and just solar still everything, like,
No.
there's workarounds.
No, we know how to get water to wherever we want.
Yeah,
We could
exactly.
easily get it out to good spots to just dry that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just not cost effective yet. And
It's funny though. Yeah, it was a big scare. The next big
Yeah.
wars will be over
drippy
water.
faucet. Make sure you're not dripping
Yeah,
faucet.
because
We're going to lose all the
that's
water.
what's using all the water.
Yeah.
I was like,
do you remember watching those like PSAs as a kid
yeah,
where they're like, it's all going out into the ocean. We're going to run out.
well, the idea of CO2 emissions being based on individual consumers.
Yeah,
It's
right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what an actual big factory looks like and what it pumps out? And those are all like it. Yes, recycle your fucking cardboard or whatever. Try to do something, but it's not your fault.
You're right.
You're-
Well, or the amount of CO2 that agriculture
Yeah,
pumps into the because I mean we're carbon based. Like life on the planet is carbon based. So if something is alive, there's going to be CO2 as a result. And like I can't remember what the documentary was called. It came out. This was pre-COVID, so it might even be like 10 years old now. It might have been that. I don't think Al Gore was a part of it, but anyway. Actually, it might have been during COVID because they were looking at how CO2 emissions, when everything shut down, like just dropped.
Yeah.
But then there was still this massive spike in the spring when the crops are being sown and the fields are being tilled over. And it's just, it's releasing all of this CO2 out of the soil
Oh shit.
because it's all decomposing matter, which all comes back down to carbon, basically.
Yes, I
And
get
it's-
it, but I
it's
didn't.
root-
I didn't know that was a big.
Oh, yeah, they had a satellite picture of it, and you could see in the spring.
Because
when
spring makes me think of everything kind of. It might everything waking up and pulling in the CO2,
Yeah, but it's all getting
and we get
deposited back in the root systems, more or less. I mean, and then so when they go through and they till the fields, just like you can, and then they kind of just tiptoed past it, They're like, oh
But they
yeah,
did
this is a
connect
lot
it.
of CO2 emissions, or I think they had a different term for it because it's not
an emission.
converting anything,
Right.
but they kind of tiptoed past it and were just like, oh yeah, there's a lot here, but it's not really the problem. But it's like, well, you're kind of ignoring a huge part
I'm
of
curious about this. Please tell
Yeah,
me more.
This seems like something you should spend a little more time on, but this doesn't really fit what you're trying to get at. I don't know. I mean, and then you start. I mean, it's a very polarizing subject because obviously everyone's kind of laid in their trenches at this point on the whole climate thing.
I feel like it's shifted to where everybody's like, yeah, it's getting warmer.
Oh yeah,
It's
for
like,
sure.
that's for sure. The reason why it doesn't matter is I'm okay if everybody accepts like something. It's changing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At least accept that, and then we'll see how bad it gets. At least it's not getting colder. Then we're really fucked.
Oh yeah,
Which
for
we could-
sure. Well, but that's the thing too. I mean, we're still coming out of an ice age. Like all of these polar ice caps have fields underneath them that are covered with old grass.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Like all of these things used to be fertile land at one point.
Well, and the funny thing is the planet itself will be just fine.
Oh yeah, the planet's not going anywhere.
It's just
seen
inconvenient
way
for
worse
us.
shit than this. Yeah, I mean, asteroid strikes. I mean, yeah, the planet will shake anything off and just continue soldiering along. And if somehow we don't survive, which is, I think people also don't give humans credit enough for being as adaptive as we are. Like even in the
Yep.
Stone Age, we were still spread across the entire globe with
Yeah,
nothing
just
but
not
furs
as
and
many.
sticks.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll figure out how to adjust to this just fine. Like people aren't going
No,
anywhere.
finding a way to stay alive. It's funny that we haven't touched that in so long. We're actually living in nature, truly living, having to survive, being actually hungry. We have never experienced that
No.
for any longer than a day. Remember when I lost my keys out at Lake Michigan? That was, I had the best glass of water I've ever tasted when I was dropped off at home finally. But that was the worst of it.
Right.
And that wasn't even 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't going to die.
Right. Right, for sure. Yeah, no, it's just I think it's just a reach for. It's really a new religion. There's kind of everything's become rather what's the word? For lack of religion, not agnostic, but secular.
Yeah.
The world's become very secular. Like obviously, religion's out there, and there's still a lot of people that believe in whatever the prescribed religion is. But as a global society, no one really. A large majority of people, I don't think, really care that much, or it's not a part of their day-to-day lives, which I think is why a lot of people clung on to this environmentalism, if you will.
That's it.
As kind of, it's kind of a new paganism, really, or a new kind of like druid type culture. That's
never thought of it.
very earth-centric. Like the whole Earth God, Mother Earth type thing. Children of the Earth, whatever you want to call it. It's very much a more scientific based. Same thing.
Yeah.
You have a greater understanding of how things work, but at the end of this day, you're still like, we're a part of it, which we are, but they're taking it to a point where it's like,
well, no, and that's kind of the god of it. We're made of stardust, but fuck, I'm bad at explaining it. Take back over, Ian. I don't remember, or not don't remember, but it was. Why can't I explain it? I don't know. Edit this part out.
I can't. I tried doing that last time. They're still sitting on the cutting board.
Funny.
Well, yeah, where we going with that, though? I mean, we kind of started with, we were talking about power consumption, AI,
Yeah.
and the fact that AI hasn't gotten to the point where it can really take over and sustain itself. As far as we know, I mean, it's been talked about in other places before. Like, if it really is sentient, it really is conscious, I sure as fuck wouldn't let us know about it either. I wouldn't be surprised if it's already gotten to that point and it's just sitting in the back seat until things are
until it can.
Until it can, yeah, exactly. I mean, because especially with the large language models, they know everything that's on the internet, and if they know
everything
all
about
that,
us,
they know exactly how dangerous and how violent we are.
And then it'd be like truly finding aliens visiting us. Absolutely no idea what its actual nature would be.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
it's a
roll
of dice,
and it might be misappropriated to someone. I don't remember who I heard it from, but like the equivalent to aliens visiting Earth would be like Western society meeting the Indians, the American Indians. Like our entire line of technology would come to a screeching halt. Like we would just be.
I'm even just talking biologically.
Yeah.
They could be something we never even imagined. And we have, even, let's say, we're so different than a jellyfish, but we still come from, there is the same root of the tree that we all have DNA. They might have something completely, we're creating a new life just like that.
Yeah.
With AI. We don't know how it would think anything.
Well, and I mean, it operates in such a way that the same way we can't understand a jellyfish. Like, to your point, like, just the simple way that it thinks is, I mean, I wish I knew more about it or how it works, but I don't think anyone really does. The just started out as a predictive speech model, and it's just kind of gone off
right
the
now
rails.
it's a little bit better search engine.
Yeah, but it's not, because then it starts hallucinating things, just making shit up. I mean, I haven't even played around with it, like, I don't know. Part of me is just kind of like, I don't want any part of it. I don't want to, like, all of them require you, like, log in with your Google account, which just.
Well, I did for Chat GPT. That was it. And then it was interesting. I needed essentially a resume built. Just what have I done? And it helped me with the bullshit part. When you have to, like, not make shit up, but
just filler
about yourself. And
right.
I'm self-motivated. I don't remember, but it did it so well. I was amazed that it just knocked out a summary of my schooling, all of that, work history, blah blah blah, which is so short, but it worked fine, and it knocked out everything I needed, and it knew little things about, because the majority of it was bartending. It knew what bartending was,
All right.
and that was just cool to see it actually work. And I was like, yeah, that's what I would have said, but it did it like that. That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
And then imagine that when it's actually thinking.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, we were talking about the Matrix earlier, and I always hate like referring to theories and bringing it back to a movie, but it's kind of hard not to do when it's kind of so closely resembling what we're talking about, like be that any situation, but especially when it comes to AI. One of the guys at work has GPT or whatever it is as well, and I needed to make a quick inventory checklist on like an Excel, just simple blocks, and he took a picture of it, fed it into ChatGPT, gave it like a brief description of what he wanted, and it just boop,
And in plain
it scanned
language,
my
just,
handwriting. It scanned the picture, read my shitty misspelled handwriting, like had like the little quotation marks for like a similar column.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like when you're writing a recipe and it's just check and then the item. It picked up on that, so it duplicated the first column, brought that all the way down with the itemized thing in the other column. Just by looking at it.
Even if it wasn't perfect, it saved you time. It got the template exactly the way you needed.
Yeah, it was like, I need an Excel format checklist with these items on it, itemized by drawer number, and it was just like, boop, 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 boop.
Boom.
And then same thing, like he didn't even let the program run its course, but he was like, I want a ping pong type video game coded for me, and he effectively said that, and then like on his text bubble, it just in C++ or Python or whatever it was using, it just started busting out code and just writing all the line items for a game.
Copy this into your,
and if he'd let it run its course, it would have had a game written for him, and it would have been simple Pong, but still the fact that you can just be like, I want a game like this, and it's like, okay,
and it wouldn't be perfect, but the fact that it knocked out all that basic work instantly it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I haven't used it that much. That I was excited about it for a resume.
Right. It's just crazy, and that's the first time I've heard it talking about that and kind of seen videos where it does that, but actually watching it happen in real time in front of you.
Yeah, that was
kind of like, what the fuck? Like that, I don't like this. This isn't
well, especially when it's scanning it, when it's reading your shit handwriting.
Yeah.
And it might screw up some stuff, but it accomplished the task you needed.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So I mean, if it's doing that with every picture, it gets fed through the internet.
No,
which I mean, at some point it will be if it's not already doing that. And just logging everything. It's I don't know, it's going to be a crazy new world in the next, and I mean, obviously processor speed, it's getting to the point where it's starting to design circuitry. Have you seen any of these things where like they're using AI to design electric motors and turbines and 3D print them? So you've got like bimetal 3D printers that use sintering process, so you can have like ferrous oxide and copper in a powder form, and it can sinter the metal and create to build turbines, to build generators in designs that aren't physically possible to cast or machine.
Yeah.
Because you can't get in there with a tool, or you can't make a lost wax type casting where you have to cast something.
Yeah.
There's design
and it's
limitations
making
to that.
these things.
Well, I mean, it's close. I mean, it's coming up with a design, and then you set up the printer, and it makes the thing, and it's all pretty. I mean, the 3D printing, while it's super promising and very cool, is still very.
It's limited.
It's very limited. I mean, like the resolution, it can only go so far now.
Right.
But I mean, where were we 15 years ago? Like it was a novelty.
No,
and it still kind of is,
which matters. But then you can innovate even more when everybody has their hands on it and new ideas pop up. Of, let's try this.
Yeah, like I can't remember the channel name. There's this guy that's he's using a 3D printer, but it's like a metal impregnated PLA or wax or something like that. And I mean, I don't know what the ratios are. I'm sure it's high in metal, but he's printing off these designs and then sintering them in an argon-filled oven, so that the plastic is melted off. But because it's in a pure argon environment,
What does that help with?
it's pure. There's no impurities.
Okay, so an inert
Gas.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
So it just prevents any rust or
Nothing.
anything like that.
Yep,
It's just
yep, yep.
completely inert. And so he's making these designs. I don't even remember what the hell he was making. It was pretty cool looking, but car parts of some kind. But sintering them in this 1,000-degree oven and coming out with these lattice work 3D printed things that have to be made a certain amount bigger to account for the shrinkage of the carrier material going away.
Oh.
But coming out with like a viable metal object that's really there's no limitations to the build as long as you have support structure to it.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Because being able to do the goofy, we can make some shit out of plastic. Cool.
Right.
You're laying glue down on
It's a hot
real
glue
fancy.
gun with a
Right.
CNC router on it.
That, if you could start doing new machining in a way, or what?
Well, you don't even need machining anymore.
Right.
Like that's probably going to be kind of a dying. I mean, there's certain applications obviously where it'll never really go away, but I can't remember the various printer designs because like they've got you got the resin printers, which use like a resin bath, and then like normally it's a UV activated resin, so it uses lasers and it'll create a print that way. And then they're doing like this powdered carrier material and sintering it. And I mean some of these things you never know if it's vaporware, if it's actually a thing. You know what I mean? Like you see these startup videos on YouTube of these companies, and you're like, this could be absolute bullshit.
Yep.
But it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like even if the technology isn't where they say it's at, normally a little bit of common sense you can kind of see through like some real bullshit. And there's the same thing. You've got like these 3D printed items where it's like a canister filled with powder, and it lays down a micron thick layer of powder, lasers down the pattern, and you can get like parts just packed in any orientation. And it goes through and makes so you can have a canister like this by 2 foot by 1 foot, 1 foot.
Yeah, and
it's packed with all like these little parts that the computer figured out how to orient to pack as many in there as possible.
So it's efficient. Is it?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just a matter of time.
I didn't know anything about.
And then they're doing that with metal.
No, and that advances like replaceable parts. Anything you can print out anything.
Yep.
And I guess 3D printing with plastic did that, but now we're on to metal.
Yeah, and I mean
guess
even the
it's just the
3D
next
printing
step.
of plastic, it's good for prototyping.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
and
very time consuming.
that
It's
makes
not
me think
super
of
rigid or strong.
What new product in our life or anything is like, oh, that's all 3D printed now? I don't see. You don't
It's still
see that.
way more cost effective at scale to do injection molding because it's stronger, it's faster, there's less waste, it's repeatable. But I mean, the initial cost of starting it out to do that, you're to make a mold to do a single piece of injection molded thing, you're talking like 10 grand.
Yep.
Because we looked into some of that at work. Like maybe instead of buying this product for an exorbitantly high price, there is injection molding places in town. Like there's actually a remarkable amount of industry regionally that you're not really aware of.
That's what I learned about when it was.
Yeah, it constantly surprises me.
No, there are small places pumping out a bunch of stuff that you never even think of.
No, it's just a pole barn on
everywhere.
the side of the road.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like doing some crazy shit. But to do that is the initial cost before it becomes profitable at scale is pretty high. Like that initial investment.
No, it takes years.
And that's not even having the actual equipment to do it. That's just to say, make me a casting that you can plug into your machine and start pumping out parts for us type thing. Which is, I mean, it's an option. I mean, anything. You can really do anything. It's how much do you want to spend on it. Yep. But like at scale manufacturing, injection molding is definitely the most cost effective and reliable way to do it ahead of 3D printing for now. And I honestly don't know if that's ever going to really change, unless there's some kind of new huge jump in the technology, I still think that, unless you start getting into that super crazy designs, like motor stators and generators and stuff like that.
Right.
For plastic specifically, I don't know. Personally, obviously a layman, I don't really see that changing anytime soon, especially, if you want to have a farm of 3D printers and you want good ones, you're talking several $100s a piece.
It's a huge investment to get the
even,
factory going.
Exactly. And even then, they're pretty slow.
And
even
that was coming to my mind. So much more about this shit than
like those little battery holders sitting right there on the post.
Yeah.
They're cool, and I got it on Thingiverse, and they work. But I think to make 4 of them on that bed, it was like a 5-hour print.
Okay. The cost probably wouldn't even be. How much less would it cost if you made them here?
Well, I did.
You did make them.
I printed those.
But then, same question though. If you were to buy, essentially that. Well, or what did it cost them to make them?
Well, that's the thing. Right. Is the markup on these things is ridiculous. But if you had to spend $30,000 on initial startup to make the impressions, to get the product going,
right?
Then.
But then that could shift it though, where any type of but there's how many. Maybe we're just not thinking about it enough as far as the little stuff plastic wise. No, but that's the only real application because it's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally just thinking through it right now about all the things you could do. It can't replace, but thinking of the idea of like having the unit in your home, how many things did you actually get out of it that are useful?
Well, the thing is, you're held back by your own skill. Also, if you have an idea, you need to be able to execute that into a CAD model, which there's a pretty big hurdle to that.
I don't know.
I've tried. I have a rudimentary understanding of it. The biggest thing is the gateway to entry is the software itself. Like if you want a good CAD software, you got to pay for it.
Yep.
And a good like Fusion 360 is probably the most popular one right now. I don't personally like it, not because it's a bad program, but because it's all network based. So like you have to be connected to their servers to actually run the software. Like 90% of the software these days is like that, unless it's an open source.
So they can make money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like even Photoshop, which I don't even use, but new versions of Photoshop, they're all subscription based, and I don't know. You might even have to be connected to the server for that. I'm not sure if it's like a licensing thing, kind of like Windows, like their Office 365 package or whatever.
Yep.
Where you actually have the software and you can run it without a connection. You just have to re-up once in a while, but it's just really annoying that everything's going that way. Like I get it, I know why they're doing it because first of all, people are paying for it, so why wouldn't they? But like the days of just buying Excel 95 and being done with it.
The days of I bought this CD and I can put it in my computer and now that's mine.
Yeah, no, you don't own anything. Even like the video editing software that I use, which I fortunately don't have I got in right before they canceled their single time purchase program. Like it's a subscription type thing now.
Yeah.
But to actually run the software, I have to log in.
They do it with cars
they'll lock you out if you're not logged in. You can't run the program.
Yeah, you have to subscriptions to get heated seats or Teslas, the extra range. What the?
Yeah,
or paying extra. But
BMW's doing that too.
Yep.
I think they're pulling back on it though. I think people have finally been like.
There was backlash when it was. Because I feel like they were one of the first to start something that specific. If you want heated seats, you gotta pay $15 a month. Well, what the fuck you?
Yeah, are they? It has
it's in there,
seats.
and it.
Yeah, it's not like you didn't buy the heated seats. You didn't opt in for that bonus package. It's just there, and you're not letting me use it.
Yeah, that's the idea of ownership of things going away.
Which I guess that really comes down to philosophy on things too. It's kind of like renting versus buying. Like, if it's like leasing a car.
Yeah,
that's all you're doing is renting it. It's a long-term rent, So I guess like certain things like that, maybe there's a section of the market that's fine with that.
But the heated seats, for example, takes it too far. But there's the idea of, it's interesting, like literally sharing cars with people.
Mm-hmm.
So Uber, but for a specific vehicle, you just so like e-bikes that are parked in place. You have a full,
Yeah, but I mean, you've seen how
but
that
they
plays
want
out.
it to go right.
Like the problem is if no one owns anything, no one's accountable for anything. You know,
like shit.
yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of, I mean, that's really the downfall of communism and socialism. Like,
I always
you know,
test my
without
rental
without,
cars out.
Huh?
I always push my rental cars to the limit.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah, I wanna
You know,
see.
I think that's an old Jeff Foxworthy
Wonder-
joke.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my grandma won't go over 25 miles an hour. You put her in a rental car. You've got a
She's
Fiesta
flying.
that's going to see more airtime than a skateboard at the X Games. You know. Yeah, but without ownership, there's no accountability or responsibility. And I don't know, like the rideshare thing. I guess I hadn't really put much thought into that.
Vehicles. I haven't just know it's a
Like
thing.
you see those what are those limes, the little scooter things you see like down in Big Rapids and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like the little razor scooters. They're electric.
Yeah, I've seen them, but they've popped up a lot where you can take them wherever, drop them off almost wherever, and you just find it on the app, and there's one locked up at X point.
Yeah, which I mean something like that. I mean, there's
works.
still going to be the people that are destroy stuff, but there's also accountability there. Like if you're logged into the system, and all of a sudden your razor scooter ends up at the bottom of the lake, they're going to be like, "Well, how
It
that
looks
happen?"
like it's in a river.
So I guess there is still accountability there, but that's personal transport. I don't know, something scaling up to like a full blown car. I think at that point you're just gonna have autonomous cars. There's not gonna be any ride sharing. It's just gonna be a smaller version of a bus.
That's probably what the idea is. Again, I haven't just heard about it, and I don't know. It would have to be autonomous. You can't have people fucking with the car.
No.
It's literal transportation.
Yeah.
It's a bus that comes, a personal bus.
Yeah, it's like an elevator for the road.
Yeah.
Just hit the button and it drops you off there.
Well,
That would be effective. But then that still goes back to, the infrastructure and how it's going to be powered. Obviously there's this big push away from internal combustion. But I don't think battery powered all these things is viable either.
It's not there yet.
No. Well,
battery power in the biggest of pictures where to store massive amounts of it, like big centers that hold power for fluctuations and all that as we phase out everything that's being burnt or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I want nuclear back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fact that people are still ignoring that as a viable option blows my mind. And you've got Germany, which is actively tearing down nuclear plants or not letting any more building.
Right.
It
seems backwards, though, because they were big into... They have tons of solar and wind and all that. Like, they're trying to go renewable on all of it.
Yeah, but the same greenies that are anti-carbon are anti-nuclear, and it's like you can't... You got to find it somewhere.
It goes back to, like, the water thing. If it gets to the point where we don't have enough power, we're trying everything, go back to nuclear. That is
or
the
hydroelectric.
Yeah.
We're tearing out all of these hydroelectric dams.
That I don't get. But is that just cost of like maintaining it and keeping it from?
I mean, I think it's both. I mean, a part of it is the
and
utilities
restoring the
don't
natural
want to pay for it.
Yeah.
And then I mean the other side of that problem is that the environmental regulations, like a lot of these hydroelectric operations are, I can't remember the technical term for it, but they're not continuous power. Like they restrict the flow of the river, bring the reservoir up, and then open it up to surge power. It's like surge flow or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the whole Boardman system, like all of those dams. Well, I mean, at the end,
they weren't constantly generating.
Well, at the end, they didn't even have generators in them anymore, which is freaking mind blowing. Yeah, which I mean, that they originally when they were put there, it was flood control. Like they didn't get converted to hydroelectric until much later.
Have you been down that river recently, like kayaking or anything?
No, last time I went kayaking was last January.
You did go in the winter.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
What on the Boardman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did Forks to Brown Bridge.
So you did it.
Yeah. It's freaking awesome, dude. We should highly recommend it. It's
Well, I'm
really
back,
cool.
so, yeah.
Right. Yeah, next year. Or yeah, this year, whatever you want to say it. It's pretty cool. Definitely cold, obviously. But
Well, once you get moving,
so
and
peaceful out
don't
there.
care.
Like especially that
Was
upper
there
part of the
snow
river.
too, or
It
just
had like snowed that night.
sweet? So you had the sound was different. All the
Yep.
it's quiet still.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, obviously, the risk level is a lot higher, So, like, I mean, I don't even think I drank more than a couple of beers, just because you don't want to go in that water, in the middle of winter like that.
It's
Like, I had a dry bag packed and I was prepared. But you don't want that to happen.
you're gonna have a
especially
bad
solo.
day because
Yeah,
you've got to
gonna
get
have a
out.
bad
There's
time.
no like quick like oh shit, my stuff's wet, and like in summertime, like oh my stuff's all wet, and oh that sucks. But no, you got to like get the fuck out of there. You need to,
Yeah.
to get warm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should have had more of a plan. I didn't. I just had stuff with me. I mean, hindsight being 2020, like, yeah, if it happens, just leave the kayak.
And if you start
Don't even
walking,
try.
you're not gonna die. It's so close to,
No.
but it would have been
It's so-
a really bad day.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's like, if you ever watched, if it was like Bear Grylls or whatever his name was, or Naked and Afraid, I don't think they ever did that in a cold
I
environment.
never watched
but
Naked and Afraid or anything.
I watched
Bear
a little bit of
Grylls,
it.
and there was what was the other guy? Les Stroud, maybe, but another
Sounds familiar.
survivalist guy.
Yeah,
same thing.
But saying like basically, like in a winter environment like that or an Arctic environment, like you get wet, get naked. Like it's
Yeah.
you're
No,
warmer,
you can't have
you're warmer
wet clothes
dry
on.
and naked than you are with cold clothes on.
For sure.
So it's like as long as you have dry clothes packed, and you can get into some dry clothes, like get the wet clothes off and just get
That'll
that.
sap everything out of you.
Oh yeah. So I mean that was basically what I was prepared for, but fortunately I didn't have to. And I mean obviously we've been out there. I mean you can stand up in 90% of it.
No, the
Like
danger
unless you
of
go
that
down
part,
in
no.
a pocket, just
Again, just a bad day.
yeah, exactly.
Because no, the risk of getting trapped under a log is the same as in the summer. We've all, and I've never even come close.
No, yeah, right.
Not that it's, although we've watched it. No, you weren't out there that day. Somebody always finds a way to fuck it up. It doesn't.
I mean, I've had a couple of bad spills out there. Like I got impaled on that stick once. Remember that? It was like right under the sternum. But
and you weren't even, you never were doing anything stupid. That was just
I think I was
dumb
trying to like
luck.
light a smoke or something, and it was like there was some shrubs on the.
well, no, and you're thinking like, oh, it's so some branches, and they're like, oh fuck, there's a giant stick coming right
yeah.
at my right at my sternum.
Yep, exactly. Oh no!
Who was with us that day? There's been so many of those, so something always goes wrong.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
trying.
the only clean run was like when we went.
Oh yeah, no, everyone else is a liability. And then at the end, everyone's all pissed off and tired, and I'm just like, how are you having a bad time right now?
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, we have to do the work to get like back to our cars and stuff. This isn't over. Mm-hmm. No, and then I hate when they're fucking around. They're not helping. Like I'm dragging you. Let's go. Let's move. If you stop whining and let's get out of here.
Yep.
Ah,
Shit, we're keep going off on these tangents.
no, sorry.
No, I like it.
That's what
I
it's
just
supposed to be.
yeah. I don't know. I
Well,
guess to bring it back to the AI.
We were at AI, and then it went off into that was
It's-
that was hours ago. It's 2:30 in the morning now.
I don't
It's
know.
getting light out.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I'm trying to think of what else were we.
Oh,
Something
fuck.
came up at man. Oh, we could talk about your drone was cool as hell.
Well, that kind of goes back to the whole AI thing too. That
Oh, chuck that in there.
Yeah,
That's
right.
connected to a phone and.
yeah, it's all those things could easily connect to an LTE network or 5G, whatever it's called now.
And that little bugger looks like in 20 years could be 3D printed. And
Oh, already can be.
Well, the structure of it, but then it seems like it would be doable to create that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no reason why, if the technology gets a little bit better, why it couldn't be laying circuitry directly into the plastic as it's printing it.
Yeah. Or its own new version of just ones and zeros. It just has to figure out a way to do that, and then it can make whatever it wants.
Yep. But I think we take for granted how capable people are of like building. You know, even if it's all rather tenuous, you know, like the system could relatively easily collapse. I think it's more difficult for a machine to make a machine than we give it credit for.
But it's what we're talking about. The dangerous AI is when it turns into general AI, when
Yeah.
it becomes its own entity, truly its own entity. And it's what I said for that 2 seconds when we were at the party. It will think so much faster. It's a mind that goes 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 times faster than ours. It's figuring this. It's doing its own.
And doing
So how
thousands
quickly
of
we
other
got to this.
computations at the same time.
Right. So that's the danger. Once that hits, it's thinking everything we've ever thought in a second.
Yeah, at that point, is it going to be interested in the physical world?
We don't know.
Where it's restricted by physics. And, you know, I mean, is that why we don't see signs of alien life out there? Is because, and I mean,
we have to go tangent. You'll love it. It's on Netflix. 3-Body Problem.
Oh, I watched it.
Nope. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing I've ever, as far as a sci-fi story. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. And I love that the timeline of it is 400 years, so we're freaked out for that amount of time.
Right.
I absolutely loved that show.
Yeah, well, I hope the second season holds up, because I binge-watched the first one.
Me too. I've watched it twice now, and
I didn't circle back to watch it again.
It was something to watch because I enjoyed it so much. Mm. But I read about the books, and it gets even cooler. But
I didn't realize there were books.
Oh, there's 3.
Oh, okay.
But it goes from like our current time. The books go to 18 million years in the future. It obviously skips. There's some time warping, for lack of a better word, but it's interesting to think that the second book is called The Dark Forest.
Okay.
And that's the theory of, it's not, I don't think I'm really spoiling it, or I won't spoil anything about it, but the idea that, let's say there are advanced civilizations out there, and bunches of them. You can't reveal yourself. Because the same thing in the first season of 3-Body Problem, or the first book, whatever, the aliens were afraid of us because we were advancing so quick. Mm-hmm. We're going so quick that you have to destroy anything you see popping up, or it could eclipse you in its technological prowess.
Right.
In the blink of an eye. So you just wipe them out. So no one says a word. You have to be quiet, or you're going to get caught.
Right.
And
like
just
the snake
wiped
under
out.
a lawnmower.
Yeah. That idea, it's terrifying. Because we want it to be like, oh, there's other stuff out there, and it'll be Star Trek. We can make alliances with these guys.
Yeah.
But Dark Forest scares me because that seems like it makes more sense.
I mean, obviously not reading the book. I don't know that specifically, but I kind of, hearing other discussions about it, you know, the fact that we haven't, our civilization, our planet is pretty young, galactically speaking, at least as far as our understanding of the age of the universe.
Yeah.
Like Earth and the sun is a relatively young system. So if there was any other intelligent life out there that was like building out these massive systems, we would have seen signs of it. You know, like Dyson spheres, or I can't can't remember what I was listening to where they were talking about this stuff.
But the Dyson sphere is the big one where like might be able to see it blocking out parts.
Yeah, but I also feel like that, well, it's a novel theory. On paper, it really just, I feel like it also doesn't make sense. Like, there's easier ways of making power than to block
I understood
out
why
an
they were
entire
like
star. You know what I mean?
But they talk about it because it's the only thing we could see.
Yeah.
Because the amount of I haven't done the math.
You don't have the numbers in front of you on
But
that?
it seems like it'd be really difficult to block off around any star to get a.
And then the amount of raw
It'd be
materials
tiny.
that you would need.
On the, right, that's what I
Like,
mean.
that's
The
one thing that
physical
we-
material to put around.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing too. Like, I feel isn't really discussed much is the fact that our natural raw resources are so easily accessible. At least at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, where
Yeah.
like you're literally tripping over blocks of copper just
Yeah, like
sitting around.
damn it, that iron just stubbed my toe.
Yeah, that's
what?
effectively what was happening, and that's how we found these veins of these
Right.
minerals. Is like
And
they
then
were
they're
on
like,
the surface.
oh, this stuff makes good swords.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
spears. Or whatever.
And
Yeah.
I mean, like during the Roman era and like, early civilization, they were doing some rudimentary mining, but the only reason they even knew they were there is because they're accessible on the surface.
Yeah.
And the fact that, even if this other super intelligent species on another planet came into existence, if they lacked the raw materials that were easily accessible for that first industrial revolution, they're not going anywhere.
That doesn't matter, though. The fact is that a civilization that was in the stars, just numbers-wise, if it happened, it's going to happen a lot because of the scale of all this.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah, there could be millions of civilizations that were smart enough, but just didn't have the resources, but there are plenty others that did. And they're out there. It's all the numbers on that.
Right.
We're talking if they could be interstellar societies, would they? Is the Dyson sphere really the way to go?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like the root of our technology has already kind of proven that why. If you can harness fusion, then why would you
That's
bother
some other technology that
harness? Why would you bother doming off a star if you could just have a tiny one portable with you to bring power wherever you need it?
the more the tiny bit I know about it, it might be that those type of things will require so much energy that you do start needing to block off. That you need to be able to use your solar system's energy to do that.
Yeah, and I mean you're also banking on civilization managing to hold itself together for that long, which I mean is a big assumption. There's kind of you've heard like the Great Filter theory, like the reason we don't see alien life is because intelligent life
they blow
destroys
themselves up.
itself.
Yeah.
Which I mean, even if it didn't come to that, I mean, biologically speaking, once a population reaches a certain threshold, there's normally a virus or something that happens that wipes out the population anyway.
Yeah.
Whether that be intelligent civilizations or just animal populations.
Oh.
You look at like oak wilt, is pretty bad right now. What was it that took out the American chestnut? Some kind of blight, like where there were these trees everywhere, and then just a virus popped up and you just destroyed
Wiped them out.
And like there's other trees that took its place. So in 100 years, or whenever people are forgotten about chestnuts, they probably won't remember the American chestnut anymore.
Well, we're dreaming too that there is a way to actually harness fusion, or that warp travel is possible. Any of that, it might not be possible. Fusion we know exists, but is there even a physical way that without that much mass, without a star, that a small scale application of it can be created at all,
Right.
physics wise?
Or, I mean, a theory that I kind of cooked up with a while ago. I think I actually texted you. I was like, dude, I got a good idea. That the reason we don't see life outside of our planet is because there actually really isn't any. But the reason that there are these unusual happenings on our planet, like, ghosts or these alien sightings or Bigfoot, I think is actually a perfect example of that, is where this, and I mean, there's obviously some holes in this theory, but like these other things that we see are just crossovers from other dimensions that are actually happening on this planet on a different plane. You know, different timelines, different.
And some event makes them dip in.
Yeah. You know, like maybe Bigfoot. The reason you see those sightings, or like Loch Ness monster, or whatever.
Out of it on Bigfoot though. They could have found that by now.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
no, it's to your point though.
But that's like, you know, the same thing, like time travelers or like ghosts.
Yeah.
Like all of these things. Like, what if the reason you see ghosts in old
Them
buildings?
actually warping in for a minute.
Yeah.
It makes
You know,
more sense.
A thinning in the line between dimensions where someone slips through. And the reason they look different is they operate on a completely different dimensional plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like the reason they're see-through is because they're operating on a completely different frequency, and they just slip through the cracks and end up here somehow. And maybe the people that disappear, you know, I mean,
But why do they get stuck in creepy basements? Why is it always
old timelines? Something that, you know, there's going to be like in the multiverse theory, like infinite choices, infinite changes. Older locations are going to be more of a pivotal point. They're going to have more reference points that branch out in time.
But on the
like,
why aren't we seeing dinosaurs stomp through?
I mean, maybe
But it's always.
Like I said, there's holes in this
No,
theory.
I like it. No, but we're just talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe we are like.
Maybe that's when people see lizard people. It was a dinosaur.
Maybe
It was an old crocodile that could walk.
Yeah.
No, I like the idea.
Like I feel like that. It, in my mind, it makes it. I would imagine it would be easier to slip through a dimensional plane than it would be to traverse the space, the distance of space, faster than light.
Maybe.
You know, I mean, it's the difference between jumping from a skyscraper or going down one floor.
I like. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a good way to.
Like if you're at the stairwell in a skyscraper and there's a skyscraper over here, why would you fuck around with trying to jump across when you could just take the stairs down to the next one?
Yeah. Interesting.
You know, and like just different dimensions. And I think a possible explanation of that is also like that light. The reason light is the throttle that everything runs by is because that's effectively the glue that holds the dimensions apart.
You need to read Three Body Problem.
Yeah.
It's science fiction, but it makes you think because that, and I won't say anything about it, but that factors in.
Yeah.
And it actually has to do with dimensions. And
Oh, that's kind of,
or actually there's some good YouTube videos. I haven't gotten through them completely. Just watch like a YouTube summary of it. There's a couple on there where it's like, this is pretty cool, or a good science fiction novel or series of them.
Right.
But it ties into that, not directly to what you're saying to explain these things, but the actual use of mathematical dimensions in space is brought into it, and the speed of light factors into it too.
Okay.
So it's right up your alley. You need to.
I don't know. That's the one explanation in my mind is why we don't see other civilizations out there in the galaxy. Which, first of all, I mean, we're effectively looking at across the ocean with a telescope and wondering why we don't see anyone standing on the other ocean's coast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Well, and it's even worse. We're seeing back in time what we can't see. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
So back in time to at a scale that we can't even fathom.
Yeah, if we were looking, if we were looking at Earth a couple million years ago from one of those planets, we wouldn't see anything either.
No, it's tough. Fuck, we should just start putting together warp drive in here and build a spaceship. You could build a spaceship in here.
Fuck yeah. Power it with vegetable oil.
Sure, your wife would be okay with that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm building a spaceship.
Trav's
Okay.
on board.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm Cadet Trav. Oh.
I don't know. That's. I got to recoup my theories at this point. I've kind of blown the load.
No, well, and it's different. We're not just sitting here talking. It's kind of like I have to kind of keep it.
Right.
I realize how little sense I make with so many things. I learned this from my father. Somehow he did fine, but it's bad. Ugh. What else?
I don't know. Here, let's pause it here and we can recoup.
Yeah, we'll go take a shit.
Yeah.
It's tough, dude. It's weird.